Hello, and welcome to Half-Baked Tales. My name's Victoria, and I share one halfway thought-through short story every week. They won't always be good, but I'll show up. All stories are posted to my Substack if you want more or to just read along. Let's get into it. This week, Half-Baked Tale number 18, Point Me Home. Abandonment by her allies may not have been how Nidri wanted to die, but she definitely knew it was an option. Her fingers dug into the dusty earth in an attempt to keep steady on her knees. Any chance of making it back to the truck before departure depended on her staying vertical, but she'd already lost the ability to stand and couldn't even manage to crawl. Hope of movement was surely lost. But Nidri looked these facts in the eye and continued stubbornly towards her goal: survive. This was always a possibility. She knew the risk, and she would overcome it. The only indication of the direction towards salvation was the compass sewn into her sleeve. The toxic fumes stirred up by dust storms made movement as difficult as visibility, so ensuring your compass was secure before departure was essential. She had directed herself southeast, though she couldn't tell so from the view. The dust storm, which had raged through their party, was ongoing. The strong gusts had undone their poorly constructed suits, allowing contaminated air to seep into their lungs and bloodstream. Several of her comrades had fallen, others had turned and ran. There was no shame in it. Better to save a few than to lose everyone. Nidri would have run if she could. If there was anybody nearby, she had no voice to call to them. She remained focused on the muscles she could control, enacting every inch of strength she'd developed over her life to not collapse into the barren landscape. Unfortunately, her body shut down on its own, overriding her will. When she woke up, she was frustrated to find herself lying on her side, all that energy exerted for nothing. She supposed she should be grateful for having woken up at all, instead of being found curled up dead when the next scouting team stumbled upon her. She had no strength to get up. It was a miracle she hadn't succumbed to death at this point. Unable to move, she shifted her eyes to take in her surroundings. The dust storm had settled, the dark and dusty surface visible again. The expanse of dead land was exactly how she left it, barren and unoccupied. She didn't notice the ringing in her ears until it was broken by a loud thud. Nidri's heart rate quickened. She attempted to use the surge of adrenaline to flip her torso towards the sound, but the effort sent her vision into a dizzying twirl. She steadied herself and utilized her left ear, currently pressed into the ground, to listen for movement. Something was approaching from behind. All Nidri could do was remain still. Whether an ally or not, they'd take her back to the caves. She knew a chance at salvation when she saw it. But the figure that came to loom over her was not dressed in the familiar constructions of the caves. This figure, a person, assumingly, was wearing a bulky suit that shined beneath a light dusting of dirt. Its face was shielded and entirely indiscernible. The adrenaline rush returned to Nidri as she fought however she could to escape this strange figure. But again, her body was finished with her resilience and shut down. Her last bit of consciousness dipped in and out as the figure dragged her along by the legs. That was Half-Baked Tale number 18, Point Me Home, an excerpt from a longer story I was working on up in the Isle of Skye this week. I conclude each of my half-baked posts with a section discussing why the story is half-baked, what my writing process was like, and what I change. But this week, I'm going to talk about this new podcast element. Very much in the spirit of the whole half-baked project, I'm throwing myself in headfirst without knowing everything there is to know about podcasting and learning from my mistakes. I started planning this edition a few months ago with two goals: make my stories more accessible and upskilling in audio recording, because I want to narrate audiobooks. I've been gathering equipment and narrator knowledge, so in real time, I'll be learning on the fly and honing these skills. My fiance is a musician, so I'm very lucky to have this know-how for today and futures recordings. Next week, I'm going to focus on consistent vocal tone but mostly I'm not stressing about perfection. I promise to show up, and that's all I gotta do. So here's to going half the way in any direction. Till next week.